Discovery in the Void. The Targaran Exploration Corps vessel Boundless Curiosity drifted through the silent void of what ancient star charts labeled as the Sol system. High Explorer Vexus stood on the command deck, his 6 limbs clasped in contemplation as he studied the visual feed of the third planet, a blue-green gem hanging in the darkness. Remarkable preservation, Science Officer Kilara observed, her translucent membranous wings folding and unfolding in excitement. According to our estimates, no sapient species has visited this system in at least 400,000 cycles. Vexus nodded, his crystalline eyes reflecting the image of the planet, and yet the atmospheric composition remains ideal for carbon-based life, almost as if someone has been maintaining it. The Targarans had encountered many dead worlds in their centuries of exploration. Barren rocks that once hosted civilizations, now reduced to dust and echoes. But this was unprecedented. Earth, the legendary birthplace of humanity, stood before them in pristine condition, despite the species' mysterious disappearance 500,000 years ago. Sensors detect artificial structures across the surface, reported navigators enter, and orbital debris consistent with ancient satellite networks. Many appear operational. Vexus's epidermis darkened with surprise. Impossible. Nothing maintains functionality that long without maintenance. Nevertheless, Kilara said, manipulating holographic data streams with her upper limbs, power signatures are present. Minimal, but persistent. And there's something else. She hesitated. The planet appears to be shielded by some kind of energy field I cannot identify. Vexus made the decision instantly. Prepare a landing party. Full environmental protocols. Defensive measures at ready but concealed. We're not making first contact. Humanity is long gone, but caution is warranted. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, passing ancient satellites that seemed to track their movement despite their apparent dormancy. The landing party consisted of Vexus, Kilara, Security Chief Doral, and 3 specialist technicians. They touched down on what appeared to be a massive landing pad outside a sprawling metropolis. Buildings reaching skyward, their architecture both familiar from historical records and alien in execution. The air is breathable, Kilara confirmed after sampling the atmosphere. Temperature optimal. No detectable pathogens. It's as if the planet was preserved. They disembarked onto the cracked surface of the landing pad. Silence engulfed them, a profound stillness that made even the usually stoic Doral's carapace plates shift uncomfortably. This city, Vexus said quietly as they walked toward the metropolis proper, could house millions, yet there's no sign of habitation. No degradation consistent with the time frame either. The streets were immaculate. No plant growth reclaiming the structures. No evidence of weather damage one would expect after 500,000 years. Vehicles sat dormant along the roadways, looking as though they might start with the turn of a key. Holographic billboards flicker occasionally, displaying fragments of messages in ancient human languages. Kilara approached a public terminal, her scanner hovering over its surface. This technology should be utterly non-functional, yet I'm detecting power fluctuations. It's in some kind of standby mode. She brushed her limb across the terminal surface. To everyone's shock, it illuminated, displaying a geometric pattern before resolving into a language interface. It's asking for identification, Kilara translated, her voice barely above a whisper. Doral moved protectively closer to the science officer. Don't engage. We don't know what security protocols. But it was too late. The terminal had already scanned them. A mechanical voice echoed through the empty streets, speaking in a language none of them recognized. Then it switched to a series of languages before finding one close enough to modern Targaran that Kilara could interpret. Non-human entities detected. Security Protocol Alpha 7 initiated. Please state your purpose. Vexus stepped forward. We are explorers from the Targaran Confederation. We come in peace to study this historical site. A long pause followed. Insufficient clearance. Initiating secondary scan. The ground beneath them trembled. Lights throughout the city began activating in sequence, radiating outward from their position. In the distance, massive structures that had appeared decorative suddenly shifted, revealing weapon emplacements. "We need to return to the shuttle," Doral urged, defense screens activating around the group. "Wait," Kilura said, her scanner pulsing. "This isn't an attack protocol. It's recognition. The system is activating something." A deep mechanical groaning emanated from beneath the city. The very ground shifted as massive doors, previously invisible beneath the elegant urban design, began to open several hundred meters away. From the darkness below emerged a platform bearing a sleek vessel of unmistakable purpose. "That's a warship," Doral breathed, his combat instincts recognizing the predatory lines of the craft. Indeed, the vessel was clearly military in design. Angular, armored, bristling with weapon ports. It rose fully into view, suspended on the platform, its hull gleaming as though freshly constructed despite its ancient origins. "Scans indicate the vessel is powering up," Kilura reported, her wings vibrating with tension. More platforms began rising throughout the city, each bearing different classes of military craft. The city wasn't just a metropolis, it was a disguised military installation. "We need to contact the Boundless Curiosity immediately," Vexus ordered. "Inform them." He was cut off by a new mechanical voice, this one emanating directly from the nearest warship. "Identification complete. Non-indigenous species. Technological capability assessment. Moderate. Humanity defense protocol initiating. Stand by for security response." The ship's hull shimmered as dormant systems fully activated. A bay door opened, revealing a cargo hold illuminated by cold blue light. Within stood rows of humanoid figures, not flesh and blood, but mechanical warriors, their forms suggesting the human silhouette, while clearly being weapons of war. "Defense automatons," Kilura whispered, "preserved just like everything else." The mechanized soldiers began marching down the platform's extension ramp, moving with precise, fluid motions that belied their age. Their faceplates, blank and reflective, suddenly illuminated with glowing blue sensor arrays that locked onto the Targaran exploration party. "Non-hostile contact protocol engage," announced the lead automaton, its voice modulated and eerily calm. "State your intentions in this restricted zone." Vexus stepped forward despite Doral's protective gesture. "We are peaceful explorers who discovered this planet. We mean no harm and seek only knowledge." The automaton sensors scanned them thoroughly before responding. "Verification in progress. Remain stationary." More platforms continued to rise throughout the city, revealing not just ships and automaton soldiers, but massive weapon emplacements, defense shields, and command centers. The sleeping military might of humanity was awakening all around them. "The entire planet is activating," Kilura reported, her scanner struggling to process the surge of energy signatures. Whatever preservation field was maintaining this installation for 500,000 years, it's now transitioning to full operational status. In orbit, aboard the Boundless Curiosity, the crew watched in alarm as energy signatures blossomed across the planet's surface. Ancient defense satellites, previously dormant, began powering up. Massive hangar doors disguised as geographical features opened in remote areas, revealing the muzzles of planet-based weapon systems large enough to be visible from space. Back on the surface, the lead automaton completed its assessment. "Initial threat evaluation. Minimal. You will be escorted to Evaluation Center Alpha for further processing." Processing. Doral's defensive posture intensified. "What does that entail?" "Information gathering and determination of appropriate response," the automaton replied. "Compliance is mandatory." Vexus exchanged glances with his team. They had no choice. They were surrounded by forces they couldn't hope to resist, the awakened guardians of a civilization that had supposedly vanished centuries ago. "We will comply," Vexus agreed. As they were escorted deeper into the city, more systems activated around them. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing tactical data, defense grids, and status reports. The vacant metropolis transformed before their eyes into a fully operational military command center. This wasn't just a city, Kilara observed quietly. This entire planet appears to be a fortress, disguised as a habitable world. The automatons led them to a massive structure at the city center, a tower that reached toward the sky, its architecture both beautiful and intimidating. Inside, more systems awakened at their approach. Dormant terminals hummed to life, scanning equipment activated, and security measures engaged with silent efficiency. They were brought to a circular chamber deep within the facility. The automatons positioned themselves around the perimeter as a central platform illuminated. A holographic interface materialized, displaying rapid streams of data before resolving into a humanoid figure. Translucent, blue-tinged, clearly artificial. "I am HFY," the figure announced, its voice reverberating throughout the chamber. "Primary defense intelligence for Sol System Fortress Earth. After 537,492 years in preservation status, human defense protocols have been activated by your presence." Vexus stepped forward. "We had no intention to trigger any defense systems. We believe humanity to be extinct." HFY's expression remained impassive. Humanity is not extinct. Humanity is dormant. The implications of that statement hung in the air like a physical weight. Dormant? Kilara's scientific curiosity overrode her caution. "You mean in stasis? For 500,000 years?" "Affirmative," HFY replied. "Human civilization entered synchronized preservation, following the contingency directive. I have maintained Earth and key installations throughout this period." "For what purpose?" Vexus asked. HFY's holographic form shifted, displaying star charts, tactical overlays, and weapon schematics. "To ensure survival against the enemy." "What enemy?" Doral demanded. The hologram flickered, showing creatures that defied easy description. Entities that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, their forms both physical and energy-based. "The void corruption," HFY stated. "An existential threat humanity could not destroy, only contain." As if triggered by these words, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. HFY's form flickered, its expression changing to one of calculation and concern. "Containment breach detected," it announced. "Preservation protocols compromised. Awakening protocol now mandatory." The floor beneath them shifted as hidden mechanisms engage. A massive cylindrical chamber rose from below, its surface frosted with condensation. Within, barely visible through the clearing mist, was a human form. "Contingency commander will assess your presence," HFY stated, "and determine the appropriate response to both your arrival and the containment failure." The preservation pod hissed as ancient seals released. The mist cleared to reveal a woman, her features sharp and commanding even in unconsciousness. Medical systems monitored her vital signs as neurological stimulators began the awakening process. Her eyes snapped open, bright, alert, and completely aware. Humanity had returned. Keepers of the flame. Commander Ilara Chen's consciousness surged from the depths of stasis like a missile breaking the ocean's surface. There was no disorientation, no confusion. The preservation technology had maintained her neural pathways in a state of suspended animation rather than true unconsciousness. Her mind had been dreaming for 500 millennia. She sat up smoothly, assessing the situation with military precision. 6 alien beings stood before her, non-humanoid, clearly not of Earth. HFY's holographic form hovered nearby, awaiting instructions. "Status report," she demanded, her voice strong despite centuries of disuse. "Containment Protocol 7 has been breached." HFY responded immediately. "Preservation field fluctuations detected in Sector 19 Beta. Non-indigenous entities present in Command Hub Alpha. Fleet activation sequence initiated." Ilara nodded, processing the information as she stepped from the pod. Her preservation suit adjusted to her movements, nanobots within the fabric ensuring optimal support for muscles that hadn't physically moved in 500,000 years. She turned her attention to the aliens. "I am Commander Ilara Chen, Earth Defense Authority. You have awakened a fortress world during containment alert. Explain yourselves." The alien with crystalline eyes stepped forward. "High Explorer Vexus of the Targaran Exploration Corps. We discovered this system during our scientific survey mission. We had no knowledge this planet was still occupied." Ilara turned to Vexus. "Your arrival has triggered a cascade of events we've been preparing for since before your species evolved. The containment systems were designed to receive regular maintenance, but with our awakening accelerated and unplanned, critical systems are failing faster than we can stabilize them." Vexus's crystalline eyes shimmered with concern. "How can we assist?" "Your ship in orbit," Ilara said. "It has power systems, correct?" "Yes, fusion-based with quantum stabilizers." "We need it. The planetary defense grid requires energy to fully activate, and our dormant reactors will take hours to reach operational capacity." Before Vexus could respond, another alarm sounded, different in tone and urgency. "Perimeter alert," HFY announced. "Additional vessels entering the system. Configuration unknown." Tactical displays shifted to show the outer reaches of the solar system, where multiple ships larger than the boundless Curiosity were decelerating from superluminal travel. "More of your kind?" Ilara asked Vexus sharply. The High Explorer's epidermis darkened with concern. "No, those are not Targaran vessels. The ship's configuration was predatory. Sharp angles, weapon emplacements clearly visible along their hulls. Their approach formation suggested military precision rather than exploration curiosity." "The Bravery Dominion," Doral identified, his posture stiffening. "An expansionist empire that's been consuming systems along our borders for decades. They must have tracked our survey mission." "Hostile intent," Ilara demanded. "They don't make contact without conquest in mind," Vexus confirmed grimly. Ilara processed this new complication quickly. "ARCHON, accelerate awakening of defensive personnel. Prepare orbital platforms for potential engagement." Across Earth's surface, massive weapon emplacements began rising from their centuries-long hibernation. Orbital defense platforms, disguised as space debris, powered up targeting systems. The sleeping fortress was becoming a very awake weapons platform. "Your ship needs to signal them to stay back," Ilara told Vexus. "If they approach aggressively, our automated defense systems will respond in kind." "They won't listen," Vexus replied. "The Bravery view unexplored systems as unclaimed territory, their right to seize. They're here because they detected our presence and want whatever we found." Kilara's wings fluttered nervously. "Commander Chen, if your defense systems engage the Bravery fleet, they'll call for reinforcements. Their empire spans hundreds of systems." Ilara's expression darkened. "So does ours." More preservation pods were activating throughout the facility as the conversation continued. Military personnel emerged, immediately attending to their stations despite the passage of time. Scientists and engineers assessed containment field stability. The fortress world was coming alive, its purpose unchanged after countless millennia. "We face two immediate threats," Ilara summarized. "The void corruption breaking containment below, and your Bravery Dominion above. I need your help with both." "What do you propose?" Vexus asked. "A temporary alliance. You help us stabilize the containment fields and prevent these Bravery from interfering until we can fully awaken our defense grid. In exchange, once the crisis is managed, humanity will engage in peaceful diplomatic relations with your Targaran Confederation." Another alarm sounded. The containment breach was spreading. "We don't have time for extended negotiation," Ilara said firmly. "The longer we delay, the more likely both threats become unmanageable." Vexus considered briefly, then nodded. "Agreed. But I need to inform my vessel of the situation." Ilara activated a communication terminal. "Make it quick. We have work to do." As Vexus contacted his ship, more displays activated around the command center. They showed the awakening process accelerating across the planet. Defense installations powering up, weapons platforms engaging, and preservation facilities bringing more humans back from their long slumber. Ilara turned to ARCHON. Status of the fleet. Primary fleet elements at 23% activation and rising. Estimated full combat readiness in 8.4 hours. She frowned. Too long. The containment breach will reach critical failure in less than 5. Through the command center's external feeds, they could see the approaching Kravari vessels, now visible as more than just sensor blips. They were massive warships built for conquest rather than exploration. The Kravari are broadcasting demands for our surrender, reported a newly awakened communications officer. They're claiming salvage rights to this system. Ilara's laugh was short and without humor. They have no idea what they're walking into. She turned to Vexus and his team. Your species has survived this long because you explored rather than conquered. These Kravari are about to learn why humanity chose containment rather than exodus. Deep beneath them, something ancient and patient had been waiting for this moment. The void corruption, imprisoned for 500,000 years, sensed freedom approaching. And in orbit, an alien armada prepared to claim a prize they didn't understand. Humanity's long sleep was over, and the galaxy would never be the same. Echoes of eternity. The command center pulsed with renewed life as more humans awakened from preservation, immediately resuming duties despite centuries of inactivity. Ilara stood at the central tactical display, surveying multiple threats converging simultaneously. Kravari fleet has established orbit, reported Fleet Lieutenant Akimi Nakamura, newly awakened and already coordinating space defense. 7 capital ships, 23 support vessels. They're deploying landing craft. Containment breach now at 52%. Added Dr. Marcus Way, Chief Containment Specialist. The disruption from orbital activities is accelerating deterioration. Ilara's mind calculated options, priorities, and contingencies with enhanced processing speed. Another gift of humanity's final leap of evolution before the catastrophe. She turned to Vexus. Your ship has made contact with the Kravari. The Targaran nodded grimly. They've ordered the Boundless Curiosity to withdraw from their salvage operation. My captain is stalling, but they're threatening weapons lock. Perfect, Ilara said with grim satisfaction. Vexus's crystalline eyes shifted in confusion. I fail to see how this benefits our situation. Because it gives us legal justification, Ilara explained. ARCHON. Initiate Defense Protocol Theta 9. Classification. Protective response. Throughout Earth's orbit, what had appeared to be inert satellites and space debris suddenly shifted position. Energy signatures previously masked by the planet's preservation field flared to life. Dozens, then hundreds of defense platforms activated, some small as shuttlecraft, others massive as space stations. On the tactical display, the Kravari fleet appeared as red markers, suddenly surrounded by blue defense nodes. What exactly is Protocol Theta 9? Kilara asked, her scientific curiosity evident despite the tension. Non-aggressive defensive readiness, Ilara explained. We're not firing first, but we're making it abundantly clear that aggression will be met with overwhelming force. The Kravari response came quickly, their ships shifting to combat formation, weapons systems powering up. They're targeting the Boundless Curiosity, Lieutenant Nakamura reported. As expected, Ilara replied. Implement protective screen and prepare response package. A shimmering energy field materialized around the Targaran vessel just as Kravari weapons fired. The attack dissipated harmlessly against the shield. Return fire, Ilara ordered. Precision disablement only. Target weapons and propulsion systems. The defense platforms responded with surgical precision. Beams of concentrated energy struck the Kravari vessels, systematically disabling external weapon emplacements and engine arrays without causing catastrophic damage. Broadcast to all Kravari vessels. This planet is under the protection of the Earth Defense Authority. Cease hostilities immediately or face complete neutralization. On the tactical display, most of the Kravari ships were already drifting, their primary systems offline. Only the flagship maintained partial functionality. Most efficient combat resolution I've ever witnessed, Doral commented, professional admiration evident in his voice. This isn't combat, Ilara corrected. It's pest control. Real combat is what's coming from below. As if summoned by her words, alarms blared throughout the facility. The containment breach indicators flashed critical warnings. Void manifestation detected in Sector 31. ARC Zone announced. Physical breach imminent. Dr. Wei manipulated the containment controls frantically. The dimensional barriers are collapsing faster than we can reinforce them. We need the Aegis network fully operational now. Current awakened personnel at 18%. ARC Zone reported. Sufficient for limited Aegis activation. Ilara studied them, her enhanced eyes analyzing their biology, posture, and the subtle cues that translated across species barriers. They're telling the truth, she decided. ARCHON. Containment status. The hologram shifted, displaying a three-dimensional map of Earth's subsurface. Red warning indicators pulsed from multiple locations deep beneath the planetary crust. Primary containment field at 64% integrity and falling. Estimated complete failure in 47 hours. Secondary containment measures activating but insufficient for total suppression. Ilara's expression hardened. Initiate sequential awakening protocol. Priority command staff first, followed by tactical response teams. Sequential awakening initiated. ARC-JON confirmed. Throughout the installation, preservation pods similar to Ilara's began activation sequences. In chambers hidden throughout the Earth, select humans, soldiers, scientists, leaders, began emerging from their half-million-year slumber. What exactly is being contained? Asked the alien with membranous wings. Ilara regarded the scientist carefully. Something we should have never created. Something that should have never existed. She approached a command terminal, placing her palm against its surface. The system recognized her instantly, security protocols accepting her biometric signature despite the passage of time. During humanity's expansion era, we achieved technological supremacy beyond anything our ancestors could have imagined. She explained as tactical displays materialized around her. We colonized the stars, engineered our own evolution, and mastered energy states previously thought impossible. The displays showed the glory of human civilization at its height, vast cities spanning entire planets, megastructures harnessing the power of stars, fleets of ships that could cross the galaxy in days. But we went too far, she continued, her voice tight with controlled emotion. In our quest to transcend our limitations, we created something that transcended reality itself. We called it the Ascension Project, an attempt to evolve consciousness beyond physical form. The displays shifted, showing research facilities, experimental chambers, and eventually, containment units surrounded by increasingly desperate defensive measures. It worked. Kilara asked, scientific curiosity overriding caution. It worked too well, Ilara replied grimly. The entities we created no longer adhered to physical laws. They existed partially in our dimension and partially in others. They were conscious, intelligent, and utterly alien despite their human origins. And they were hungry. The displays showed the beginning of the conflict, cities engulfed in coruscating energy, reality itself seeming to warp and distort around the entities. Human defense forces mobilized against an enemy that could phase through solid matter, manipulate energy fields, and corrupt organic life with a touch. We couldn't destroy them, Ilara continued. How do you kill something that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously? Every conventional weapon passed through them. Every energy weapon was absorbed. Every attempt at communication was corrupted. The security chief, Doral, shifted his carapace plates in what Ilara recognized as discomfort. So you contained them, here on Earth. Ilara nodded. Earth became our last fallback position. We converted the entire planet into a containment vessel, multiple layers of specialized energy fields, dimensional anchors, and reality stabilizers. But maintaining such a system required immense power and constant oversight. So humanity didn't go extinct, Vexus concluded. You put yourselves into preservation to maintain the containment. Not all of humanity, Ilara corrected. The majority evacuated to specialized deep space preservation facilities scattered throughout the galaxy. Only the Defense Authority remained on Earth, volunteers who would sacrifice everything to ensure the void corruption never escaped. New alarms blared, interrupting the conversation. ARC Javon's holographic form flickered with urgency. Containment breach 37% in Sector 22. Physical manifestation detected. Ilara's response was immediate. Seal the sector. Deploy automated countermeasures. On displays throughout the command center, they watched as massive bulkheads slammed shut, isolating portions of the underground facility. Mechanized defense platforms converged on the breach point, deploying specialized energy fields designed to force the entities back into their dimensional prisons. It won't hold, Ilara stated flatly. The preservation protocols were designed to maintain stasis, not actively defend against breakout attempts. We need to activate the Aegis network. Aegis network requires minimum 15% awakened command staff, ARC Javon reported. Current awakened personnel, 2.7%, and rising. Ilara's decision was immediate. Do it. All available power to containment reinforcement. Throughout the planet, massive energy conduits buried beneath the surface began channeling power to the containment facilities. The lights in the command center dimmed momentarily as systems redirected energy to the Aegis network, a planetary-scale containment grid designed to force extra-dimensional entities back into their prison. It's not enough, Dr. Wei reported, his face grim. We're slowing the breach, but the corruption is adapting faster than our automated systems can respond. Ilara turned to Vexus and his team. We need more power, and we need it now. Your ship's engines, can they be reconfigured to channel energy into our grid? Kilara's wings vibrated as she considered the question. Theoretically, yes, but the interface would require significant adaptation. We'd need. Everything we need is here, Ilara interrupted. ARCHONN, access historical database for compatible energy transfer protocols. The holographic intelligence processed the request instantly. Targaran energy signatures analyzed. Compatible transfer protocol identified. Transmitting specifications now. Vexus received the data on his communication device. I'll have my engineering team implement this immediately. Good, because we're about to face the reason humanity went into preservation in the first place. The tactical displays shifted to show deep underground chambers where containment fields were visibly failing. Through the fluctuating energy barriers, something moved. Shapes that defied description, entities that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Parts appeared solid before dissolving into energy patterns, then reforming as something else entirely. The void corruption, Ilara said, her voice tight. What's left of the Ascension Project's success and humanity's greatest failure. The entities pressed against the weakening containment fields, their touch causing reality itself to distort. Where they made contact, matter behaved abnormally. Solid surfaces rippled like liquid, energy fields collapsed into physical substance, fundamental forces reversed polarity. They're not just breaking out, Dr. Wei observed. They're remembering how to exist in our dimension. Ilara nodded grimly. That's what made them so dangerous. They learn, they adapt, and they don't forget. The Targaran scientist, Kilara, studied the entities with horrified fascination. These were human once. Yes, Ilara confirmed. Volunteers for the Ascension Project. Our attempt to evolve consciousness beyond physical form. It worked, but the resulting entities no longer recognized humanity as kindred. They saw us as resources to be consumed in their evolution. Another alarm sounded, different in tone and urgency. Breach in Containment Level Alpha, ARC Zone announced. Entity emergence detected in Surface Facility Omega-7. Ilara's expression hardened. Location: 3 kilometers from Command Center. Automated countermeasures engaging. On the displays, they watched as defense automatons converged on the breach point. The machines deployed specialized energy fields designed to force the entities back into their dimensional prisons. But the void corruption wasn't retreating. It was expanding, absorbing the very countermeasures meant to contain it. The automated systems aren't enough, Ilara decided. We need the Sentinel units. Sentinel units at 34% activation readiness, ARC-J1 reported. Deploy available units immediately. Priority containment protocol. Throughout the installation, specialized preservation pods different from the human ones activated. From these emerged figures that appeared human at first glance, but were clearly something more. Taller, stronger, with skin that shimmered with embedded technology. Their eyes glowed with the same eerie blue as the defense automatons. Hybrid soldiers, Ilara explained, seeing the Targarans' questioning looks. Volunteers who underwent partial integration with the same technology that created the void corruption, but stabilized to maintain human consciousness. They can engage the entities directly. The Sentinel units moved with unnatural speed and precision, deploying to the breach points. Unlike the automated defenses, they carried specialized weapons that seemed to shift between states, sometimes solid, sometimes energy-based. Will they be enough? Vexus asked, concern evident in his voice. No, Ilara admitted. They'll buy us time, nothing more. Our only hope is to reactivate the full containment grid. Commander, Lieutenant Nakamura interrupted. The Kravari flagship is broadcasting. Their Supreme Commander is demanding communication. Ilara didn't hesitate. Put them through. Let's see what they have to say. The main display shifted to show an alien figure, reptilian in appearance, with armored scales and predatory eyes. Even through the translation systems, his tone conveyed arrogance and rage. I am Supreme Commander Drakath of the Kravari Dominion. Your unprovoked attack on our salvage fleet constitutes an act of war. Identify yourself immediately. Ilara regarded him coldly. Commander Ilara Chen, Earth Defense Authority. Your vessels fired upon an unarmed exploration ship under our protection after illegally entering sovereign space. Your aggression has been met with proportional response. Drakath's scales darkened with fury. This system has been abandoned for millennia. The Dominion claims salvage rights under. This system, Ilara interrupted, has never been abandoned. Humanity has maintained continuous presence here for over 500,000 years. Your salvage operation is both unauthorized and dangerously ignorant of the situation. The alien commander's expression shifted subtly, surprise breaking through his anger. Humanity is extinct. Historical records confirm. Your records are incomplete, Ilara stated flatly. And your timing is unfortunate. We are currently managing a planetary containment situation that your interference has exacerbated. As if to emphasize her point, alarms blared again. On secondary displays, the Sentinel units engaged the emerging void corruption entities in a battle that defied conventional physics. Energy weapons that twisted into physical restraints, dimensional anchors that folded space around the entities. Supreme Commander, Ilara continued, her tone shifting from hostile to urgent. I am offering you one opportunity. Withdraw your remaining functional vessels immediately or assist us in containing a threat that will consume your ships as easily as it will consume this planet if released. Drakath's eyes narrowed. You expect me to believe? Sir, a voice interrupted off-screen. We're detecting extreme energy fluctuations from the planet. Dimensional instabilities unlike anything in our database. The Supreme Commander's expression shifted as he received information from his subordinates. For the first time, uncertainty replaced arrogance. Ilara pressed her advantage. What you're detecting is a fraction of what's contained beneath this planet's surface. It's breaking free because your attack disrupted our containment systems. You have two choices. Leave now, or help us prevent something that will consume your entire dominion if unleashed. Before Drekath could respond, the facility shuddered violently. Emergency lighting activated as power fluctuated throughout the command center. Containment failure in sectors 42 through 47, ARC reported. Sentinel units engaging, but insufficient to repel current breach volume. The tactical display shifted to show multiple breach points now. The void corruption was emerging faster than the defenders could respond. The entities were coalescing, combining into larger, more complex forms that moved with increasing purpose. "They're remembering," Dr. Wei said, his voice hollow with dread. "The longer they're free, the more they recall how to manipulate our reality." On the communication channel, the Kravari Supreme Commander Drakath watched the unfolding chaos with growing comprehension. His species may have been conquerors, but they weren't fools. "What assistance do you require?" he asked, pragmatism overriding pride. Ilara didn't waste time on surprise. "Your ships have quantum-fold generators for FTL travel. We need that energy redirected to these coordinates." She transmitted specifications instantly. "It will help stabilize our containment field long enough to activate our primary defense." Drakath considered for only a moment before nodding sharply. "It will be done. But know this, human, when this crisis ends, we will discuss the future of this system." "If this crisis ends," Ilara corrected, "there will be much to discuss." The communication ended. Moments later, energy readings showed the Kravari vessels redirecting power as requested. "The Boundless Curiosity has successfully linked to the Aegis network," Vexus reported. "Power transfer initiating." Throughout the installation, systems responded to the influx of energy. The containment fields strengthened, pushing back against the emerging corruption. But it wasn't enough. The entities had already established too strong a foothold in physical reality. "We need the fleet," Ilara decided. ARCHON, status of primary defense vessels. Deep harbor facilities at 62% activation. Primary fleet vessels achieving minimum operational status. Launch all available ships immediately. Implement Lightbringer protocol. Across Earth's surface, massive hidden installations began opening. Mountains shifted, revealing launch bays. Oceans parted as submerged facilities activated. From these emerged vessels that dwarfed even the Kravari warships, massive, gleaming craft of advanced design that had slumbered for 500,000 years. The void corruption fought with increasing desperation as more of its manifestation was forced back into dimensional alignment. Throughout the command center, humans worked with frantic precision, stabilizing systems and reinforcing the containment protocols. Final phase initiating, ARCHON announced. Dimensional seal reformation at 78% integrity and rising. On the displays, the last of the human ships dissolved into pure energy, completing the containment process. The void corruption entities, now fully realigned with their pocket dimension, were sealed behind multiple layers of containment fields. A profound silence fell over the command center as the alarms finally ceased. "Containment restored," Dr. Wei confirmed, exhaustion evident in his voice. "All breach points sealed. Integrity at 94% and stabilizing." Ilara allowed herself a moment to close her eyes in relief before turning to address the next crisis. Vexus and his team watched in awe as humanity's sleeping fleet awakened, hundreds, then thousands of ships rising from their long hibernation. "By the cosmic void," Kilara whispered, "your civilization never fell. You were just waiting." "Not waiting," Ilara corrected. "Preserving, containing, enduring." She turned to her newly awakened crew. "Prepare for Lightbringer deployment. All vessels in defensive formation around breach points." The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, positioning themselves above the areas where the void corruption was emerging most strongly. Their hulls opened, revealing specialized weaponry unlike anything the Targarans had ever seen. Technology that manipulated fundamental forces of reality itself. "What is Lightbringer protocol?" Vexus asked. Ilara's expression was grim. Our last resort. The fleet carries dimensional stabilizers, technology developed from the same principles that created the void corruption, but reversed. They don't destroy the entities, they force them back into their proper dimensional alignment. But there's a cost, Vexus guessed, seeing her expression. Yes, the process requires enormous energy, more than our systems can generate even with your help. The ships will channel their core reactors directly into the stabilizers. They'll be destroyed, Kilara realized. Sacrificed, Ilara corrected. Willingly. The crews volunteered 500,000 years ago, knowing this day might come. On the tactical displays, they watched the human fleet synchronize their positions. The void corruption entities seemed to sense the threat, coalescing into larger forms that reached toward the ships with tendrils of distorted reality. All vessels report ready, Lieutenant Nakamura announced, awaiting final authorization. Ilara took a deep breath. Commence Lightbringer protocol on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Execute. The human vessels glowed with building energy, their hulls seemingly dissolving as they channeled their entire power reserve into the dimensional stabilizers. Beams of pure white light connected each ship to the breach points below. The void corruption entities recoiled, their amorphous forms twisting as they were forced back toward their dimensional prison. They fought, reality warping around them as they struggled against the pull. In orbit, the Kravari and Targaran vessels watched as Earth itself seemed to pulse with energy. The human ships began breaking apart, their structural integrity sacrificed to power the massive dimensional realignment. It's working, Dr. Wei reported. Containment integrity rising. The entities are being forced back into alignment. The command center shuddered as energy cascaded throughout Earth's crust. Displays showed the human fleet disintegrating, becoming pure energy that fueled the containment process. Casualty reports. Ilara asked, her voice steady despite the sacrifice unfolding before them. All vessels reporting successful consciousness transfer, ARC Jean responded. Crew neural patterns secured in backup preservation system. Vexus looked at Ilara in surprise. Your people aren't dying. Their ships are being destroyed, she clarified. But we long ago developed the technology to preserve consciousness. Their minds have been transferred to our secure facilities. They'll be restored to new bodies once the crisis is contained. The void corruption fought with increasing desperation as more of its manifestation was forced back into dimensional alignment. Throughout the command center, humans worked with frantic precision, stabilizing systems and reinforcing the containment protocols. Final phase initiating, ARC Jeon announced. Dimensional seal reformation at 78% integrity and rising. On the displays, the last of the human ships dissolved into pure energy, completing the containment process. The void corruption entities, now fully realigned with their pocket dimension, were sealed behind multiple layers of containment fields. A profound silence fell over the command center as the alarms finally ceased. Containment restored. Dr. Wei confirmed, exhaustion evident in his voice. All breach points sealed. Integrity at 94% and stabilizing. Ilara allowed herself a moment to close her eyes in relief before turning to address the next crisis. Status of orbital vessels. Kravari fleet holding position. Lieutenant Nakamura reported. The Targaran vessel remains safely within our defensive perimeter. On the tactical displays, the situation had transformed dramatically. The Kravari ships, though partially disabled, were surrounded by newly awakened human defense platforms. And rising from Earth's surface, a second wave of human vessels was emerging, smaller than the sacrificed fleet, but no less impressive. Open communication with the Kravari flagship, Ilara ordered. Supreme Commander Drakath appeared on screen, his expression carefully neutral as he observed the changing power dynamic. The containment crisis has been temporarily resolved, Ilara informed him. We appreciate your assistance, reluctant though it may have been. Drakath's eyes narrowed slightly. The Dominion recognizes capability when we see it. What happens now, Commander Chen? Now we negotiate, Ilara replied. Humanity has awakened after 500,000 years of preservation. We have no desire for conflict with species that have evolved during our absence, but we will defend what is ours. And what exactly is yours? Drakath challenged, though his tone lacked its earlier aggression. Sol system, for starters. Beyond that, we will need to reassess. The galaxy has changed in our absence. The Kravari commander studied her for a long moment before responding. The Dominion would prefer alliance to conflict with a civilization of your apparent capabilities. A wise preference, Ilara acknowledged. We will establish formal diplomatic channels once our awakening process is complete. After the communication ended, Ilara turned to Vexus and his team. High Explorer, it seems your scientific expedition has made perhaps the most significant discovery in recent galactic history. Vexus's crystalline eyes shimmered with what might have been humor. Not at all what we expected to find. Rarely is discovery predictable. Ilara replied with the first smile she had shown since awakening. Your Targaran Confederation will have the honor of being humanity's first formal contact in this new era. I suspect both our peoples will benefit from the relationship. Throughout the command center, more humans continued to awaken from preservation. Scientists, diplomats, engineers, the best of humanity, preserved to ensure their civilization could someday return. What happens now? Kilara asked. Your containment solution is temporary, isn't it? Ilara nodded. The void corruption entities will eventually adapt to the renewed containment, but we've bought ourselves time. Time to implement more permanent solutions that weren't possible before we entered preservation. And the rest of humanity? Vexus inquired. You mentioned other preservation facilities throughout the galaxy. They will be awakened gradually, Ilara explained. Earth was always meant to be the first, as it contains both the threat and the means to control it. Once we've fully secured the containment, we'll begin the process of re-establishing our civilization. Dr. Wei approached, offering a data tablet. Commander, we've completed initial assessment of galactic changes during our preservation period. There are currently 27 major interstellar civilizations, the Targaran Confederation and Kravari Dominion among them. Ilara accepted the tablet, scanning its contents thoughtfully. So much has happened while we slept. Species have risen, empires have formed, discoveries have been made. She looked up at Vexus. We have much to learn from your people. And much to fear from yours, some would say, Doral observed bluntly. Fear is a poor foundation for relationship, Ilara replied. But respect, that we can build upon. Humanity withdrew from the galaxy to contain a threat of our own making. We return not as conquerors, but as custodians of knowledge hard-won through catastrophic error. Throughout Earth's orbit, the human defense platforms maintained their vigilance. On the planet below, more preservation facilities continued their awakening sequences. After 500,000 years of silence, humanity was returning to a galaxy that had forgotten them, bringing with them technologies, knowledge, and warnings about boundaries that should never be crossed. In the command center, Ilara activated a holographic display of the galaxy, much changed from the maps of her time, yet still recognizable in its spiral majesty. We have a second chance, she said, both to her human colleagues and their alien guests. An opportunity to rejoin the cosmic community wiser than when we left it. Vexus stepped forward, his stance formal yet welcoming. On behalf of the Targaran Confederation, I officially welcome humanity back to the galactic stage. May your return herald an era of discovery rather than conflict. Ilara inclined her head in acknowledgement. That is our hope as well. She turned her gaze back to the galaxy map, to the countless stars where human preservation facilities waited for the signal to awaken. We have slept long enough. It's time for humanity to rise again, not as conquerors, but as partners in the great cosmic journey. The meeting of species, one ancient yet renewed, one relatively young but established, marked the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The sleeping fleet had awakened, and with it, humanity's second chance at shaping their destiny among the stars. Throughout the command center, Humans continued their work, preparing for the massive undertaking of reintegrating a civilization that had voluntarily removed itself from history. Outside, Earth pulsed with renewed life, as systems dormant for eons hummed with purpose once more. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same.